Thank you very much for being here.
So we're going to pass a comprehensive immigration bill for all 11 million. So that we don't have to have a deportation army. We don't have to have
44
ICE
years
terrorizing people in our country.
15 seconds, Senator, 15 seconds, Mr. O'Connor, then I got to move on. We're almost out of time.
44 years, nothing accomplished on immigration. His record is one of complete ineffectiveness. What we ought to do with the DACA issue is address that as a clean bill. And Senator Markey's efforts to vilify ICE are completely irresponsible. What he wants is open borders. He wants to make Massachusetts a sanctuary state. It would bankrupt our state. It would.
Okay,
gentlemen,
a very short. Would you vote for the Senate for the White House deal, which is 3 times what Mitch McConnell wants to do?
Yes, absolutely. And Senator Markey's been an extremist throughout. He has never offered any moderation whatsoever on this issue. And I also want to note, in terms of coronavirus, that he has very highly charged rhetoric regarding the president. I went to the same law school as Senator Markey, and his statements are misguided, to put it mildly. But in addition, what we've never heard throughout this campaign is any question as to the fault of the Communist Chinese Party in causing all of this. Senator Markey has a long record of weakness in terms of dealing with China, and his weakness on a sustained basis poses the greatest threat to American security and American safety.
But you support here.
50% of all carbon emissions right now are coming from Asia. And so what we need to do is to have a system that promotes innovation, that promotes sensible negotiations, where the American worker isn't sold out to China the way the Paris Peace Accord was drafted, where we would literally have paid hundreds of millions of dollars to China, and they would have had no emission standards. The net effect is that Senator Markey would have harmed the American worker yet again.
Let him respond,
It was
Mr.
a
O'Connor,
terrible
if we can.
deal. Ed Markey, throughout this campaign, has proposed these free lunch programs that are totally unaffordable, that will bankrupt future generations, and they are inexcusable.
But do you support the tax cuts, though? Yes or no?
Yes. Well, on balance, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Gentlemen, we're going to move to the Supreme Court.
Jim, if I could, the tax cuts raised more revenue in the year after the tax cut than before, and they led to the greatest economy in the last 40 years. The last time we did that well was quite a long time ago, and everything that got us to that point, Senator Markey opposed.
The problem is the president did not follow up by naming a czar.
Senator,
he did not use
Senator,
the
you've never
Production Act.
Senator,
he
you've
did
never,
not, he
Senator,
did not provide the moral and personal leadership that the American people needed. And even today, once again, irresponsibly, he's telling people not to be afraid of the coronavirus.
So Senator, China is not at fault? Is that what you're saying, Senator?
I did not say that.
But you haven't said a word throughout the campaign. You are a United States Senator, and your communications have importance in terms of our global stature.
For the third time, Mr. O'Connor, I agreed with the president at the end of January. Let me just restate
It's a record of weakness. Shutting down
Kevin O'Connor, I just want to be clear about one thing. You are blaming communist China as opposed to the millions of Americans who have been in close contact with each other, not social distancing and not wearing masks. And the president has not worn masks very much himself. You're blaming communist China for 200,000 plus deaths in the United States?
It started with, well, no problem is so simple as that, Marjorie. But the reality is it started in communist China, and the Chinese purposefully and repeatedly misled us. And it's not just American lives around the world. And that lies at the feet of communist China. And Senator Markey's silence for a year on that issue signals weakness, which is consistent with his record of weakness.
We've got
justices that were appointed to the Supreme Court because they are pro-life. Massachusetts voters have indicated over and over again that they are pro-choice. So how come you support those justices who may end up taking away women's reproductive rights?
The personal position of a judge isn't what's relevant. The question is, will a judge respect the rule of law, the Constitution, and that includes precedent?
And my feeling is, if they do this, if they take these 2 seats, then it is very much necessary for us in America to repeal the filibuster and to begin a discussion of enlarging the Supreme Court.
Yes, for or against expanding the size of the court quickly.
It's court packing is a terrible idea. It's been discredited by everyone. Justice Ginsburg said it was a terrible idea. No one of common sense thinks that Senator Markey's idea is good. And even the Biden campaign thought it was ill-advised. So he's outside the mainstream of his own party, let alone common sense thinkers.